You've probably heard people online saying Greenland could trigger a new world war, which sounds insane because it is, but also not completely made up. So before we all start panic buying canned food, let's talk about what this conflict is actually about. What even is Greenland? Greenland is the world's largest island, mostly ice. About 56,000 people, extremely empty, extremely cold, and somehow extremely important. Officially, Greenland belongs to Denmark, which is confusing because Denmark is small, flat, cozy, and full of cafes, and Greenland looks like the final boss of winter. The weird relationship. Greenland controls most of its own internal politics, but Denmark still handles foreign policy and defense. So Greenland is basically independent, but Denmark pays the bills. It's the geopolitical version of saying, I'm an adult, while your parents still cover rent. Why this suddenly matters. Climate change. As the ice melts, Greenland is revealing rare earth minerals, oil, gas, and other stuff that makes global superpowers suddenly wake up. Greenland went from cold island nobody talks about to, oh wow, that's strategically valuable. Enter Donald Trump. At one point, Donald Trump suggested the US should buy Greenland, and the best way to understand this is simple. Trump is like a kid in kindergarten. He sees another kid with a cool toy, and suddenly he goes, I want that one. Not because he needs it, not because it makes sense, just because it exists and looks powerful. The problem is, Greenland is not a toy, and countries are not NFTs. Here's the part people miss. Greenland is part of the Kingdom of Denmark. Denmark is a NATO country. That means Greenland is protected by NATO. So, if the US, or anyone, tried to take Greenland by force, that wouldn't be a deal. That would be an attack on NATO, which means Article 5, which means all NATO countries get involved. Yes, including Norway. Norway actually sent 2 soldiers to Greenland as part of NATO cooperation. Not to start a war, but to send a message. A very Nordic message that says, we are watching, calm down. In geopolitics, that's basically a raised eyebrow. So would this cause a world war? No, not realistically, because no country wants to start a war with NATO over an island of ice, even if that ice is full of money. This is not about tanks and explosions, it's about positioning, influence, military access, and future power. A quiet power struggle. With submarines, Greenland's dilemma. Greenland wants independence. That's the long-term goal. But independence costs money. And right now, Denmark funds a large part of Greenland's economy. So Greenland is stuck choosing between freedom and financial geopolitical reality. Turns out, freedom is expensive. So no, Greenland is not about to start World War III, but it is a symbol of something bigger. Climate change, global power shifts, and superpowers competing over what the future will look like. Like and subscribe before someone decides your country looks like a cool toy.